Yeah, good morning, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Okay, Piaget was one of the famous Swiss psychologists, and he has given a theory of cognitive development, which is very, very important from your A-Clavio model residential school examination, for your RIT examination, or any another teaching related exam. So this topic is very, very important because this comes almost in all the exams. So you need to understand it very well. But before we go ahead, I want to tell you here that what topic we are going to discuss today. So under this Piaget's theory of cognitive development, we will discuss about sensory motors. Okay, we will discuss about the pre-operational stages. We will discuss about concrete operational or deductive. We will discuss, last stage will be about the formal operational. Okay, so these 4 stages of Piaget's theory we are going to discuss about in this today's video. Alright, guys, so I hope that this information will prove very, very useful for you. Okay, so let's start with it. We go ahead. It says that Piaget identified that children actively construct their own thoughts, own cognitive world. Okay, and when we say the term called cognitive, it means thinking process or the mental process. So to make the sense of world, what they do, they organize their experiences and adopt their thinking to include the new information. Okay, now what is this organization that we will see? So organization is an ongoing process of arranging information and experiences into mental system or categories. It is arranging the information, okay, and experiences, like whatever you have learnt. Like for example, supposedly if you are a teacher and you have learnt with your experience, whatever you have learnt, that is there in your brain. Okay, so what memory storage you have done, that is called your organization, okay, of your ongoing processes. Right. Now Piaget termed this mental concept as schema, okay, and this has been termed psychologically as schemas. Okay, so these are the small packet of memories which in your mind, okay, which store the information in it. Okay, and if I talk to you in a layman language over here, further it says a schema is a mental concept. Okay, it's a mental concept that is useful in organizing and interpreting information. So what is the use of schema? Is to organize information. Now according to Piaget, he says that children, they adopt the schemas through 2 processes. There are 2 ways. Okay, the one is known as called your assimilation, okay, and another one is known as called your accommodation. Right, now what is this assimilation and what is this accommodation, that we will see. So assimilation means the fitting the new information into existing schemas or what we already know. That is known as called your assimilation. Okay, and if I talk to you in a very simple language here, if I try to give you the dictionary meaning of, so when we use this term called assimilation, it means fully understand an idea or some information so that you are able to use it for yourself. Alright, now here an example is given. If the child knows about the horse, okay, then when the first time he or she sees the camel, he knows that the horse is having the 4 legs, but when he see the camel there, so first impression for a child will be what previous knowledge is having of the horse. The horse is having 2 legs. Okay, so that same thing when he will see in a camel, so he will implement that knowledge over there. Okay, so that is known as called your assimilation. Alright, next we have accommodation. Now what is the accommodation? Accommodation means to stay. Okay, so on the other hand, accommodation is alerting existing schemas, okay, alerting the existing schemas or creating the new ones. What they do, they create some new ones, okay, in response to the new information. The children demonstrate the accommodation when they add the schemas for recognizing the camel to their other systems or identifying the animals. It means when we say accommodation, means the child is ready to adopt the new information. Okay, whatever is there, that child is ready, and he is not associating it with his previous knowledge. In a simulation, the child is associating the new knowledge with the previous knowledge. He is trying to associate it, but accumulation, he is giving space to it. He is accumulating it. Okay. Now, during this process, children experiences disequilibrium. Okay. In their attempt to understand the world, gradually they reach a balanced state of thought known as equilibrium. Okay. Equilibrium. The term is equilibrium. There are 3 syllables in this word. Okay. This shift in thought from one state into the another is termed as equilibration. Now further, Piaget has given the 4 stages of development. Okay. As per the Piaget, there are the 4 stages of cognitive development. So what this 4 stages are there? Okay. First, it is called sensorimotor. Sensorimotor. Okay. Now what is the sensorimotor? This word, this term is derived from the word called sensory. Sencory. All right. Which means, if I look at the general meaning of the term called sensory, so it means connected with physical sense. Okay. Now here approximate age is given, that what age this development takes place. So this kind of development takes place at the age of around 2 years. Okay. And at this stage, the object permanence. Okay. What development takes place in a child? Begins to understand the object. The child able to understand that this object is this is table, this is chair, okay, this is book. Okay, so that kind of sense start developing at this stage. Okay, so begins to understand that objects do not cease to exist when they are hidden. Okay, the child is able to understand that if you hide any object, so the object will not be there. Okay, they do not exist. Okay, they do not cease, okay, to exist when they are. Like for example, it is given the showing the child a toy, hide it under a cloth. The child would take out the toy by removing the cloth. So the sense has been developed that where this thing can be. Okay, the child is able to understand that. So this is the object permanence. This one of the major feature of sensorimotor. Okay, and another major feature is the goal-directed action. Okay, which takes place at this stage. Now what is this goal-directed action? The actions that are produced consciously to achieve a desired end. Okay, like example, hitting a musical toy to elicit a sound. Like for an example, a child knows that when I bang a desk, so the desk will produce some music from it, or maybe a plate or whatever the child is having, or a toy, a musical toy. The child knows if I press this button, so the sound will go, right? So that kind of sense start developing at this stage as per Piaget. Now the second stage as per Piaget is pre-operational. Okay, and that the duration of that is around 2 to 7 years old, when the child is around between 2 to 7 years old. So at that time this pre-operational development takes place in a child. Okay, that is honest, and the first one under this is called semiotic function. Okay, so now what is the semiotic? If I talk to you in a simple language, so semiotic is a study of signs and symbols. Okay, the study of signs and symbols is known as called semiotic. So let's see what it says. So begins to use the gesture at this stage. Okay, child is able to understand the signs and gesture. They begin to use the signs and gesture, signs, sounds, and the words to represent and convey their meaning. Okay, here example of that is given, the waving goodbye. Child able to learn that goodbye whenever the parents they go out, or the father is going for the office or the work, the child start waving, right? Goodbye, saying, pointing to some interesting thing that I want this particular toy or whatever it is. Okay. Second, under this pre-operational stage is development is one-way logic. Okay, so at this the child is able to think operation through logically in one direction. Okay, here example is given, the students treat addition and subtraction as two unrelated process. Okay, so this is known as called your one-way logic development in the child. The third development here is the lack of conservation. Okay, it means the child believes that amount changes when the substance is reshaped. Amount is changes when substance is reshaped or rearranged. Like for an example, you have a bed sheet, you fold it, so he thinks that a bigger bed sheet has become now smaller in size. The size is reduced of it. Okay, but actually the size has not been reduced. That has simply been folded. But this lack of conservation remains at this stage in the mind of child. The next under pre-operational, we have next one is egocentrism. Now, what is egocentrism? Is a child is having difficulties seeing things from another person's point of view. A child is not able to see. A child thinks that what I am doing is only the right. Okay, they think their own perspective is the only one possible. Okay, example: if a little boy is afraid of dogs, he may assume that all children share this fear. So here the example is given that if a particular child is there, a boy is there, and this a boy is afraid of the dog, right? So what his perception to look at the thing? He believes that everybody is afraid of this. Okay, means all the children are afraid of the dog, but it is not necessary. Maybe the adult children, grown up, will not be afraid of dogs. Now, as per the Piaget, the third stage of development is your concrete operational. Okay, now concrete operational is what it is. It is generally takes place at the age of your around 7 to 11 years. It is a reversibility. Okay, so at this stage, the one thing which takes place in the child's mind is the reversibility. Means the child understands that the certain process can be reversed. The things can be reversed. This process can be reversed. Okay, like for example, if you take the vehicle forward, so it can come backward also. So it can be any process. Your example is given. The students start recognizing that the subtraction is the reverse of addition. So this thoughts takes place in the mind of child. Okay. Conservation at this stage. So child recognizes that amount stays the same if nothing has been added or taken away. Okay, the child is able to understand that if we will do no plus minus, so the amount will remain the same of the any quantity or anything, even if the substance is reshaped or rearranged. Even if you will change, like even there is a piece of cloth, if you will fold it, okay, so the child is able to understand it now. No, the size has not reduced; it has simply been folded. So here example is given that a student can prove that there will be same amount of paper even if it is torn into the several pieces. Okay, the quantity will remain same. No doubt it has been torn, multiple pieces have been made of it. Okay. Okay, another characteristic of this is classification. Okay, means to divide the things, okay, and see from different angle. So child is able to recognize that object may be belong to the several categories. Okay, simultaneously means at the same time a object can be belongs to the different category. Like for example, here it is given, a student may acknowledge that a mother can be a doctor also, a sister also, and a spouse also. The child is able to understand that one thing may have more than one role. All right. Okay, for example, a utensil is there. Okay, a pot is there in house, so that can be utilized for many other purpose. It can be utilized for cooking, it can be utilized for making chai, it can be utilized for collecting water. Okay, so this kind of classification process takes place at this stage of the life. Okay, next we have deductive reasoning. Now, what is the meaning of this term called deductive? I will talk to in simple word. So, using the knowledge about the things that are generally true in order to think about and understand particular situation and problem. All right. So, this is a general meaning of it. Deductive means. So, here the deductive reasoning which takes place in a child. The child is able to draw a logical conclusion from two or more pieces of information. Okay, he is able to reach to that stage. Okay, that if he gets some fact about certain facts, he will come to know. So he is able to weave his own information there. So if all the children are human beings, and if all the human beings are living things, okay, then all children must be living thing. Okay, and the last stage and is your fourth one, that is your formal operational. Okay, under the Piaget's theory of cognitive development, last one is formal operational, which is around 11 years old child. Okay, and what it says, it is abstract and hypothetical reasoning. Now, what is the meaning of this term called abstract over here? The abstract, when we say abstract, so abstract, it means existing in the thought or ideas, something which is existing in your thought or ideas and not having any physical reality of it. Something physically is not present. Okay, like for an example, if I give you an example, if I use the word called childhood, so childhood is something which is abstract. Okay, you can feel that childhood. Okay, how was your childhood? But you cannot touch that childhood. All right, so this is an example of abstract. Okay, so let's see what it says here. The ability to reason about the abstract and hypothetical. Hypothetical is also same. Okay, it is the synonym of abstract only here. So a ability to reason about the abstract and contrary to fact ideas. Example, a student understand the negative numbers and is able to use them effectively in mathematical procedures. Okay, the next characteristic of formal operational is your adolescent's egocentrism. Okay, so here a child understand that others may have different perception. Now at this stage, the child is able to understand that the same thing could be looked from other point of view also. Other people, they have their own point of view. Okay, so he believes in the different perceptions and beliefs. Okay, they become focused on their own ideas. Okay, and what they become focused on their own ideas, beliefs and attitude. Okay, your example is given, the whole class thought my answer was dumb. Okay, so a child is given the answer in the classroom. All right, teacher asks something. Okay, and maybe the child is right, but this kind of thought may come in the mind of the child, that what others will think. Okay, this is the adolescent egocentrism, and this is something which remain for a long time in our mind. Okay, even in the minds of the grown-up people, this remain. Okay, like people always think what the people will think about me. Like for an example, a girl from the village is there, and she wants to put on some western cloth or something like that. So before trying that western clothes, she may think that what the people will think about me. Okay, so that is an example of adolescent egocentrism. Okay, because that person is aware that other people have their own point of view, they may dislike this kind of clothing on me. Okay, so this is about cognitive development theory of Piaget. Okay, we have discussed about it. All right, guys, so we have done with this theory of cognitive development. I hope you are all are able to understand it, and this is very important topic I am saying again. So please see that you prepare this theories very well. This are going to come in almost all the examination. Okay, so thank you very much for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.